it's just Martine, and welcome to another Recent Reads. Today I have 10 books that I quickly want to share with you, from least best to best, that I've read over the last couple of weeks. This mainly consists of books that I read between my Canada trip and the moment I started my next reading vlog, which should be my next video. Anyway, so all these books in between. Some of them I have things to say about, some of them I don't have anything to say about, but I just want you to know that I read them. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to be referring to my laptop here. Okay, so first I have I Love You But I've Chosen Darkness by Claire Ray Watkins, and I gave this 2.5 stars. This is a really interesting book, kind of dual timeline, partly, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, told in journals, partly in the present, and it largely revolves around the story of this new mother who I think had postpartum depression. I don't think they said it on the page. Granted, I listened to it as audiobooks, so there were no pages. I also listened to it as I fell asleep, so I could be entirely wrong. This was weird and not a bad time, but I honestly don't have many thoughts about it, probably because I was falling asleep to it, so that's on that. Next, I have The Kingdom of Dog by Neil S. Paki, which I also gave 2.5 stars. This is the second book in the, I forget the name of the series, but it's basically a cozy murder mystery series revolving all around this golden retriever. Golden retrievers are my favorite. I do think I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed the first book. I'm not sure what I gave the first book rating wise, but I think because I knew more of what to expect going in this time, that I enjoyed the second one better. I'm always in the middle of several books at a time, and honestly, when I was reading this one, there would be times where I was like, I want to shut my brain off, time to switch to this book. I'm enjoying the reading experience. So is it high literature? No. But was it cozy and was it a mystery? Yes. Then I read On the Edge by Corinne Duevis. I probably pronounced that wrong and I'm sorry. Which I gave 3 stars. I think this could have been rated higher, but I was kind of in a sci-fi slump. I was reading a couple sci-fis at once and I just wasn't feeling any of them, so I think that had a lot to do with it. This did have Own Voices autism representation, which I think was the highlight of the book. The basic premise is that she's living in the future, and in the future there's an asteroid headed to Earth, and she and her mom are supposed to go and hide in this temporary shelter for impact, but they're running late. Anyway, they end up on this generation ship that they're not supposed to be on, and chaos ensues from there. The autism representation was really, really great. Again, I think that was the highlight of the book for me. So if you're looking for some mental health and neurodivergent representation in books that's not the central plot point, I would highly recommend this one. Then I read Something Fabulous by Alexis Hall. At the time when I read it, I did not realize I had read a book by Alexis Hall before. They're incredible. They write great things, such queer things, and I love them. But I hadn't realized that I knew Alexis Hall, mainly because this book cover was so different from Boyfriend Material, which is the other Alexis Hall book I read. I want to read everything they've written because I'm always looking for a good queer time, but this is the one I read because I could download it through Amazon Prime. Anyway, I gave this 3 stars. I think the beginning was really slow and hard to get into for me. I spent a long time not reading this, but once I got into it, I had a good time overall. And this is technically a spoiler, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The Duke in this is demisexual. The demi representation. Let's go. I feel it's so rare, and it just made me happy, and it wasn't said on the page, but Alexis Hall, they've said that this character is demi, and it was just written. This character was demi. They didn't have to label it. It was just, that was who this character was. The way he described how things felt to him, I was like, is this character demi? And he is. So I love that. I love that so much. So much. And Alexis Hall, they wrote at the beginning of the book pretty much every character in this is queer, which I think is such a cool way to start a book. And it's historical fiction, so that was even better. I know Ruby recently read an Alexis Hall that was also historical fiction that had a trans main character, and I want to read that one so badly. But first I have to get around to Husband Material. My loan for that keeps coming in my library and it keeps delaying it. Anyway, I read that, it was a good time. Then I read The Rift by Nina Allen. I think I have this book right down there. I'm so lazy though, I'm not going to pick it up. Anyway, I also gave this 3 stars. My eyes just went blah, 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 blah. It's the story about this girl whose sister goes missing, and then later her sister turns up like years later, like a decade or more later. Her sister shows up and she's like, I went to a different planet. It's got a really ambiguous ending. So if you really like ambiguous endings, I would recommend. Then I read City of Fallen Angels for the Bookstar Read Along. That's by Cassandra Clare. It's the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series. I gave this 3 stars. I loved how much Simon was in this one. I do love Simon. But other than that, I don't know what to say, except the ending, very troubling, and yet very clearly just a draw for the story to continue. It didn't have to continue, but Cassandra Clare said, I'll do this one thing, it will continue. Speaking of Amy from A Star Reads, I read The Last Battle by C.S. Lewis, which I also gave 3 stars. It was not my favorite Narnia book. It's not my least favorite Narnia book. It did have lots of issues. Racism, sexism, all of that. Not great on that front. The reason I think I rated it as a 3, so like pretty highly, is because in 4th grade, my sister tried to read this book. It took her months. She hated every second of it. Like, this is her nightmare book. And so when I like had an okay time reading it, my brain was like, nice. I also love how it tied up all the different parts of the series, like the characters in the series. I love that we got to see everybody again. So yeah, it was a 3-star for me, but definitely warnings that it doesn't say all the right things, you know? Then I read Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen, which I gave 3.5 stars. It's basically just a very specific productivity system that's supposed to help decrease levels of stress based around the fact that when you have like open loops in your head, you're stressing yourself out by trying to remember everything. I've partially implemented the system in my life so far, and I'm liking what I'm seeing, but it wasn't the most compelling audiobook, I won't lie to you. Then, going back to C.S. Lewis, I read The Magician's Nephew, which I gave 4 stars. There's just something about this one I liked. It's really hard to remember what, but oh, I think because it had like the parallels. So the Chronicles of Narnia, very Christian allegory, right? In The Magician's Nephew, we got to see like the Genesis moment, and I really liked that. But then the star of this show was Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doer. I gave this 5 stars. The crazy thing is, I was lent this by a family friend maybe like 2 weeks before I had to leave to move to school. If you're not familiar, Cloud Cuckoo Land is over 600 pages long. And for one of those weeks, I was in Canada, and I was not gonna bring this 600-page book with me when I was trying to fit all of my belongings that I needed in a carry-on. I literally didn't bring any physical books. Are you proud of me? I was proud of myself. So I lost a week there. And then I was reading it and really enjoying it, but I was stressed and like trying to pack up my room and stuff. Anyway, so the day I'm supposed to put all my stuff in the car and come here, I read the majority of it, like over 400 pages in the car ride. And usually this would be a very painful process for me, but I kept being like, okay, maybe I need a break from this book so I don't hate it. I would put it down and then I'd like stare out the window listening to music, which I love to do. And then I'd be like, I kind of want to read it. So I'd pick it up, read it some more. I had such a good time reading it. I liked it better than All the Light We Cannot See, just because like World War II historical fiction isn't really like my favorite genre, but this was like so weird and wonderful. If somebody had told me this author was going to take 3 separate timelines, each with multiple characters, and base it around this one fake story for 600 pages, I would not have told you I was interested. But it was so good. It was so good. And like, I didn't have trouble remembering the different characters, which I always do. I am glad I didn't listen to this on audiobook though. The 600 pages, it goes by faster than you think, because a lot of those pages are literally blank, because in between sections, there's like a full blank page. There are lots of sections. So you'll just be flipping through like empty pages. It's really not 600 pages, and I had such a good time reading it. Definitely, I think one of my favorite books of this year, which I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I was expecting more of like a 4-star vibe. So the fact that I absolutely devoured it on this road trip was like incredible to me. It had so many things that I want. It talks about storytelling. We had the like historical fiction, we had the future, and then we had like the present. And the present had lots of stuff about like criminal psychology and stuff, which is largely what I study as a student of legal psychology. So like, it was so good. I would say I recommend it to everybody, but I honestly know it's not going to be everybody's taste, but it It was so good. Thanks to that family friend for letting me borrow it. Those are all the books I had to talk to you about today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Have you read any of these books? If so, how did you feel about them? If not, which one would you want to read most? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!